Good morning. Good morning. We are indoors today as there is a lot to cover, and I didn't want to spend a lot of time trying to fumble with papers and stuff to get you guys in the know this morning. I'm so grateful to have you here. Thank you for hanging in there. If you were waiting on us to get started today, I know that it is a cold and chilly Thursday morning. And we're going to make the most of this week's. I'm Jackie Glass, Mama, Navy Vet, Certified Doer, and your laced up legislator for the House of Delegates, 89th District, until it becomes 93, when those things happen. But usually I do a celebrate. I just want to acknowledge that this month, or yesterday, was the Purple Up Day for the month of the military child, and we'll be celebrating military children for forever, ever, but really acknowledging them this month. It's interesting. Yesterday was also 420. I said, who decided to put these two things together? But one has nothing to do with the other. But we are spending some time celebrating military children. There goes my printer going off. Okay. I really want to spend today getting you guys prepared. Good morning, Stephen. Getting you guys prepared for what's going to happen next week. So first off, this Saturday at 3:30 at Gethsemane Community Fellowship, we are having our town hall, district debrief and town hall. Remember, I told you guys, I think the difference between a debrief is me. I'm going to just spend about 30 minutes of your time really talking about all the things that we did. I did this virtually right after session. I wanted an opportunity for the public to come and be able to hear that same brief with a little bit added to it. On this Saturday at Gethsemane Fellowship Church on, Brambleton at 3:30. So have your face in the place. Masks are required inside that church, but we'll also have that on site for you if you don't have it. So I need you there. And then we will also have an opportunity for you to sign up for the policy work groups, which should be starting in the summer around June timeframe. Second, next week I will be back in Richmond, right? So on the sixth Wednesday by code, right? The sixth Wednesday after we adjourn, which we adjourned on March 12th. So the sixth Wednesday from that date, the House of Delegates has to come back and to what we call reconvene, is where we're going to look at the governor's vetoes and his amendments. The 30 days, right? 30 days from when we completed, that's how much time the governor has to take action. We know that he took action and on Monday, and I'm looking at my notes as I talked to you. On Monday, he wrapped up his work with 841 General Assembly bills were sent to his desk. He vetoed 25. He amended 114 and signed 702. So that was late Monday night. That's what we got. So now what they're saying is what's important to recognize here is that a lot of those bills were Democratic bills that were just vetoed, right? So we're going to walk through this process. What I want to do is walk through some of the important bills that I think you guys should have on your radar, because what happens in my inbox, right? If you guys got the opportunity to open up the Dell J Glass account and see what I'm seeing, you're going to see, a lot of don't vote. Don't support the governor's amendments, or support this amendment, don't support the veto, please vote for this to come back. Like, we get tons of those emails just telling us, and I know that there may be bills out there that you all may find dear to your heart, or close to the things that you might consider important, that I'd love for you to be able to take part in. Okay, so Clifton says, is that the church near Calvary Square, or is it the one closer to Monticello? It is the one closer to, I think, Calvary Square. So it's if you were taking near Norfolk State. If you're on Virginia Beach Boulevard, or no, if you're on Brambleton, right before where that Vidoc is on Brambleton, if you're coming from Norfolk State, it's on the left-hand side. You can't miss it. It says Gethsemane Community Fellowship on the left-hand side. And I think the address is 1417. I put that out. But yeah, it's Gethsemane Community Fellowship Church. if you get down the Tidewater Drive, you went too far, right? Like, it's between Park Avenue and Tidewater Drive. Yep. So thank you for that. Please, I hope to see you there. So what I wanted to do right now is, again, take the time. Thank you for putting that. I was right, 1317 East Brambleton. Take the time to sort of walk through what these vetoes and stuff look like clearly. Highlight some of the ones that like sort of hit my list, and then tell you where you can find these vetoes and what the action is, because or the amendments and the vetoes and what the action were. What's important to know is like you can actually look this up. You can see where the actions that have been taken on these bills. You can see where the governor did his part, and then why he made those decisions. So let me get into that. I got some notes here. And please, please, please do not hesitate to ask questions. Do not hesitate. If you want to pop in and share the screen with me to talk a little bit about some of this, you are more than welcome to do that as well. So the interesting part of this is because the House of Delegates is in Republican hands and the Senate is under Democratic control, and all of the legislation that we see here, all of the legislation that went to the governor's desk had to be bipartisan, meaning it had to be approved by both parties. So somewhere in there, we found a happy ground, and all of this legislation made it through with support on both sides. So, for instance, there were 10 bills that he vetoed from a specific senator, Senator Evans. He's up in Alexandria. He vetoed those bills, but they also had a House companion. Remember, I told you guys, or let me reiterate that oftentimes when we really want to get a bill done, we have somebody sponsor that bill or put their name on it, both in the House and in the Senate. So that bill has two lives, not like a cat with nine. It has two lives where it could die in the House and live in the Senate, or die in the Senate and live in the House, but they have to go over. So it's got a huge opportunity to make it both ways. What typically happens is that the governor would sign both of those bills, those campaigning bills. And it's kind of like bragging rights for them to be like, oh, I signed all these bills. But like sometimes it's like duplicate bills, just to be honest, like, oh, I signed all this legislation. So no one sort of has any idea what this is. It could be an ideological difference, or it can just be petty, right? Like you can read the or philosophical, or it can just be politics. It's just a matter of sort of understanding one. But just remember, all of the vetoes were sponsored by Democrats for some reason, which some of them had unanimous support in both chambers, which means they passed the House with 100, they passed the Senate with 40. And for perspective, what we're looking at, I told you all, we have 25 veto bills, 114 signed bills. All right, let's get into it. All right, so again, I said we're going to return to Richmond. One of the biggest things that we're going to be addressing, and for those of you all who celebrated 420 the other day, we'll hopefully get the opportunity to address the marijuana legalization piece of things, what the governor suggested, several sort of amendments to the bill, including making there more misdemeanors. He under the current laws that was adopted last year, it allows everyone to possess an ounce or less, but possessing a pound or more is a felony. And then the fine is like $25. There's a whole timetable and a new cannabis control authority that has already been set, that he proposed to fall under the Attorney General. Unfortunately, when we look at our Attorney General, we do have a sort of law and order with bias inside of the Attorney General's office. So anytime I hear us putting something under the Attorney General, I'm a little bit apprehensive, because what I see is that their bias shows, and I don't necessarily want them to have more control over things. I would love it if we would use our Commonwealth's attorneys, but also more objective spaces and places. And so when you look at something like a cannabis control authority, and it falling on the Attorney General, I'm not a super fan of that. What I will do is I'm actually going to send this, because I know he's on here. Vince, I'm going to send you the link for folks to be able to look at where all these amendments are. If you could post it, I would appreciate it. So just give me 1 second so I can, because I can't. I'm using 2 today. Yeah. I think I'm doing this right. Hold up. Let's get this right. Yeah, I'm going to send that to him to so that you guys can actually see. I am being gracious, Charlene, I understand, because here's what I'm in the business of is when I get into the rooms, there is the time that you need me to fight. But when we're trying to get when we're trying to get on code, and that's what I want you guys to understand is that, like, this is the education piece, right? This, what we're doing right now, I am being very, very meticulous with my words because I want you to understand, like, I recognize that many of us are coming to this, right, with our respective views, and whether you voted for me or not, I represent you. I ain't in bashing, but I'll tell you what I'm going after, right? Like, I don't need to trash talk anybody to go get what we need or what we want, right? It don't serve me. It don't serve us. However, that does not negate the fight that we're in and being real about people's bias and about where they stand and allowing the work that they've done to show itself. When we saw, and why I say this with the Attorney General's office, when we saw that he got rid of the whole all of the civil rights attorneys, that signaled a lot to me, right? I can look at the actions and know where he's coming from and understand that as I look at how much control we give that office, I don't necessarily want that because there's a disbelief in civil rights unless, right, it is projected towards a certain group of people, and that doesn't necessarily can support the population that I'm here to serve in totality. So here's a couple bills, right? Let's get to it. I just sent that to Vince. Hopefully we can get that in the chat where you all, and as soon as he pops that up, I will complete that sentence and tell you guys about that link. So there was a measure put in to increase fees for landfills, right? Like, yo, he wants amendment or vetoing that. There was a Senate bill that will require, right? Actually, let me start saying the Senate bill numbers so that you guys can have this on your radar. Senate Bill 464. This bill, I've looked at this bill because I think this is significant because this bill would require Commonwealth's attorneys to provide copies of subpoena when they seek subpoenas they seek to defense attorneys. So, like, it makes them to say to defense attorneys, like, yo, we have a subpoena. Like, what boggles me is why this don't happen already. But remember, we understand that we have to codify a lot of things because our whole lives are legislated. Sue. Senate Bill 464 was one that I was like, as we sort of look at how we do public safety and how we build trust, this is not vetoing. This is not the way to build trust in a system, the judicial system, which people that are not necessarily employed in it are a huge part of its success and failure because that trust piece. House Bill 307, okay? House Bill 307 would have provided that a public body, let's say like a city council or a school board, provides that a public body subject to the Freedom of Information Act, right? Like, I'm subject to the Freedom of Information Act. And if you don't know what that is saying that you have the right now, if you guys wanted to contact my office and say, I want to see all of the emails that you've all of your correspondence with regards to marijuana legislation, right? You could, under the Freedom of Information Act, you have every right to ask for that information. However, it comes at a cost, right? Like, we have to pay to get that information. And so what this bill would say that anyone that is under the Freedom of Information Act, that they have to have reasonable efforts to supply the records requested by the citizen at the lowest lowest possible cost. And there's more to that, because here's what happens is oftentimes you'll see these bodies, it's so that they want to stop you or stop me from requesting that information and saying, give me that information. They make it expensive to do so, right? Remember, we're not just dealing with the blue and the red, but we're also dealing with the green, and the green is the way to separate all of us. And so, I think it's super important that we like, why would we get rid of this? That they should be providing this information at the lowest possible cost. I've paid over $100 to my city for documents, right? When I've used exercise the Freedom of Information Act. So like that's not a little bit of money to get like 4 pieces of papers back. Like and much of it being redacted. So like that's House Bill 307, which I thought was really really important. I'm doing a time check. I'm going to go a little bit longer because I know I started about 10 minutes late. House Bill 585, House Bill 585. House Bill 5, it requires, except for those middles and high school with significant cognitive abilities who participate in alternate assessment, each student in middle and high school to take only those end of course SOLs. Like, it requires that that students only take the SOL assignment necessary to meet federal requirements and Virginia graduation requirements, among other provisions. Because if you've been paying any attention to what's been happening here, you know that there has been a weaponization over the past several years of education, of policing. Weaponization also, we saw it happen with the census. So using these institutions to divide and conquer. So now we get money, and now we've got these ideological things. So like that would say, hey, you only test the student for what they need to for SOL requirements and for graduation requirements. I'm not sure. I'm not going to go deeply into the whys, but these are ones where it's like, it just doesn't make any sense to veto. House Bill 879, which requires, listen to this, when you think about it, hold on. When you think about it, I emailed the link for these. So that you guys can see where you can find these to Vince. So hopefully he'll be able to get in the chat. So House Bill 879. What y'all understand is we have a Virginia Department of Education, right? And a lot of what our education system does is delegated down from the Virginia Department of Education. Now, there was a bill put in by a delegate that said requires that all of the people whom are appointed by the governor to that Virginia Department of Education, because I'm going to read the bill and then tell you why. To the governor to include at least one member with experience in local government leadership or policymaking. So somebody that's got some experience, because school boards are locally controlled. One member with experience or expertise in career technical education, as we take our society and sort of move it towards understanding not everybody's going to go to college, that there are some amazing opportunities for folks to take advantage of that may not necessarily be college bound. And then at least one member with expertise in early childhood education. So that's what we're saying. We're just saying that, like, we at least need these people on the Virginia Department of the Virginia Board of Education. And that too was, yes, dunsies. Okay, I'm gonna pause. Vince just put that link in the chat. If you want to go to LIS, Legislative Information System, Virginia.gov, and you can see all of the bills and all of the actions and amendments that have been taken on those bills. Okay. So when we look at that, sometimes we may have people on the the Board of Education that don't necessarily have expertise, that are serving the types of things that school boards across the Commonwealth are doing. Or we just I'd like somebody that has some experience, especially in that realm, as we're taking a lot of our suggestion and guidance from the Department of Education. The next one, House Bill 987, and I only have one more that I like, was really sort of near and dear here. House Bill 987 requires program information regarding Medicaid be made available in a manner that's accessible to individuals with limiting English speaking proficiency. limited English proficiency, couldn't get the word out. So, and individuals with disabilities, when doing so, is a reasonable step to have a meaningful access to health care coverage. So this codified, and remember, I know sometimes you guys are like, why do we even, because we have to legislate everything almost. We are legislating for our livelihoods, right? For our dignity oftentimes. It's just saying, hey, like, you should be able to provide this information for people who may have a low English speaking proficiency or has a disability. What I think often is missed is that in the United States, we do not have a national language. I know people want to say, hey, English is our national language. It is not. We, as the United States of America, do not have a national language. Okay. And so it's super important to recognize that, like, when we're providing service, yes, we default to English, but because we're this land of opportunity, like, we recognize it's going to be challenging for us sometimes to ensure that as we create opportunities for a diverse and eclectic group of people, that we provide it in a way that it reaches said people. And that's a huge thing that we have here, even in our city. Like, and I want to shout out a huge advocate in our city that I know named Patricia Bracknell, who has been doing a lot of work in the Spanish speaking community, just on trying to get them to have some dignity here, to be able to show up in their spaces and places. That is huge. And then folks with disabilities, I spend a fair amount of my time helping most of them are returning citizens with reading things. So, like, if I'll take at least I know when their registrations are due, because I put it on my calendar, and I say, all right, you're going to stop by the house. I'm going to go ahead and read to you what you owe and all those good things. Like, and then we can pay online, right? Or I'll give them everything they need to go to the DMV or to go where they need to go, so that they can pay for or do whatever it is. Like, I just read the other day, one of the folks had his wife had passed some time ago, and they sent him this long thing talking about her policy. And like, we just read it out. Like, we had to read it and tell him, okay, like, you know, this is this. And like, we have to put ourselves in a place where we're making this collective, that we're inviting them into the system, which we said there would be opportunity. Learning to speak politics can be challenging. Especially as learning new language. Absolutely. Carly, thank you. Like, this is villaging, right? Village is a verb, and this is what we do. Okay, so the last House bill that I feel like you guys should have on your radar, House Bill 802. 802. This is a huge deal as we talk about housing. Would allow localities, right? Would allow a locality under certain circumstances to bring in action to enforce a landlord's duty to maintain a rental dwelling unit in a fit and inhabitable condition. Right? Ready? This is House Bill 802. This was vetoed. Hello. Would allow the city of Norfolk to say, A, under certain circumstances, we can hold this landlord accountable for not, or to maintain a unit in a dwellable and habitable condition. Because what happens is there's a limit, because we are a Dillon Rule state. Our locality has a limited ability to be able to enforce, for accountability. They can cite them, but we have to give them more teeth. We have to give them more teeth so that we can get some of these slumlords out of here, or just make it not profitable to be a slumlord, right? Like, people change. Discrimination often is bad when it's no longer profitable. So, like, we have to make it not profitable for them to be slumlords, right? Period. Like, that's the huge one. And that was carried by one of the only renters in the General Assembly, Delegate Price, which is Hampton Roads. And so, guys, most of the new laws, they're going to already take effect, and I'm wrapping up here. They're going to take effect on July 1st, unless there's unless something else is specified. what I need you to know is that there's a huge chunk of what's happening in Richmond that is honing in on Northern Virginia, right? And it may be their proximity. It may be the amount of taxes that they bring in, whatever it is. But the eyes and the partisan politics. No, thank you so much, Elena, for putting the bill numbers. Those are just a few. So if you see that link, Elena put all the bills we talked about in the chat, but also yes, Elena, thank you. And then if you look at that list that Vince put there, Elena put the bill numbers and Vince put the link where you can go and look for yourself at all of this legislation that we're talking about, because we're, like I said, 25 vetoes, 114 amendments. Like that's on you, and you are more than welcome to hold me accountable and lobby me to sign or not sign, to support or vote for, whatever. It don't got to be a long email. I tell you, people, like the lowest, all you could put in the title: do not support this. I don't want you to support it. Like, do not support this bill or this bill number, whatever it is. That's it. Because when I see a listing, when I see a long list of, when I get an email consistently about a bill, it turns my eyes to that bill and says, I need to take a deeper look, because our constituents are saying either they want this or they don't. Because recognizing I don't necessarily have the eyes to read all of the things. But I will assure you this: as we start fundraising, which I haven't, I know everybody's like, you should be, as soon as you leave session, you need to be fundraising. I get it, right? I'm trying to build right now the infrastructure to be able to support and serve the 89th district, rather than just pulling up and just, going and asking for some money. Like, we have to have the infrastructure to be successful. Yeah, to be successful for you all. And part of that is I recognize I need to hire 3 more people, right? I think I talked to you guys about this. I need to hire 3 or 4 more people, which means, yes, I have to fundraise, because the state does not give us all the tools, parts, and materials to be successful or to be even efficient for the 80-some thousand people that they ask us to charge for, which is a lot. I think we need more. I feel like we need more legislators. Let me just be honest. But they don't. And so a lot of that, right now, I have 2 people on staff. One is being paid for by the state, and the other is being paid for by the money that we fundraised when we ran. And it's been really helpful so that we can dig into this policy and talk to you in this way. Because it's, again, educate, advocate, celebrate, and legislate. And we cannot do that last one without doing those first 3 really, 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 really well. Oh, yes, there were a number of Beagle bills. Elena says her neighbor, thank you. Tell your neighbor you're welcome for the Beagle bills. There was a huge there was a huge place up in Virginia that was like puppy milling these beagles. So there were like hundreds of beagles that were left without a home and mistreated. And so that bill made sure that folks weren't able to do that in the Commonwealth again. But before I sign off, I wanted to finish the statement. I was talking about how that connecting the dots from Northern Virginia and that fight, like it appears that the executive branch is going to find those pain points, especially in high media driven places like Northern Virginia, to ping their education system, to do all these things. But I'm going to tell you something about Hampton Roads, right? I think people are sleeping on us, because there's not a person that makes it to that executive area, an executive branch of government, that doesn't win a city here. We are a vital piece of the political climate, let's say, in the Commonwealth. And I think that there is some work to be done amongst us as Hampton Roads legislators to not only recognize the power that we have here, but galvanize it and organize it so that when we, as that my friend likes to say, when we agitate the problem, we're able to organize the solution and mobilize our people. And so we've got a lot of things going on here in Hampton Roads. We are a superpower, right? Collectively. And know that we're going to be working towards building that. That is on the forefront of my mind. How do we build our political power here so that we are able to get things done in Richmond? Because I'll tell you, a lot of it, which makes my stomach go, a lot of the eyes just turn to Northern Virginia, and there's no hate or shade there. They are organized in a different way. But it is like night and day. Different lived experience, different, which is very different from Central Virginia and very different from Western Virginia. So like, I'm going to need y'all in this. And part of being in this is holding all of us accountable, from the local to the federal, and everybody in between, right? You got to. You got to know it's real, and it doesn't have to be on all the things, but what it does need to be on is the things that you care most about. So just like you saw Elena said, thank you for sorting the Beagle bills. If you care about beagles and you want us to do something about beagles, make us do it. People do that. So Charlene said the state doesn't want certain folks to have a voice. That's why we have so many. Yeah. Say it again for the people in the back. Can I high five on that? Yeah. And I wouldn't say, if you go to VPAP, this may be helpful. VPAP, VPAP, VPAP. VPAP will show you professions where you can see a lot of what our legislator looks like. Half of the legislators in the General Assembly, or at least in the House of Delegates, weren't even born here, which is, there's no shade in that. There's not, myself, present company included. But you can use VPAP to sort of see the breakdown of what Charlene is talking about. And I'm going to put that in the, yeah, Kim, one of my friends, put that in the chat, VPAP, VPAP, and get a breakdown. It's not that they're all wealthy. Like, it's not that the majority of them are wealthy. It's that they have the flexibility, because what I don't want you guys to think is that you have to be wealthy to participate in this process. There's certain time freedom. So like, as a small business owner, a person that works at home, and I have a husband that is able to sustain with me making a very small amount of money and then doing this, right? I have the privilege of time. So it's not just the privilege of resources, the privilege of time that allows us to show up. And that's the thing that divides us more so than the green. It's the time, which often means that we are making enough green to sustain. So yes, you need to see yourself in this process, and I'm going to make for Dag, I'm sure that you do. Thank you. I appreciate your kind comments. I'm looking. Mr. Ross, thank you so much. We got to keep doing the good work. Norfolk was the city that put President Obama over the top in Virginia. Yep. So we got to know that we're the diamond when it comes to, we're the sea. If you watch the Bridgertons, we're the seasoned diamond. Okay. And we got to step into our security so that we can get the resources that we need. So what I want from you guys, I really would love it if you would show up on Saturday, 3:30 at Gethsemane Fellowship, Community Fellowship. Shout out to Pastor Houston, especially Miss Sharon Houston, who allowed us to use that space. I'm not your typical legislator. I want to meet you outside of the church. And that was actually the only church that invited me in during this process. However, I want to make sure that that it's a yes and, that we're doing both. So if you have any questions, and I'm going to put this in the chat, all right? I'm going to put and I use VPAP a lot to, you can look up campaign finances. You can look who's taking money from where, which is important. VPAP.org. I'm putting that in the chat. What else? I think that has told us things. I do want to see you guys on Saturday. We will be streaming the district debrief and town hall on live, but it will be a listen only. So if you do have a question, do not hesitate to contact our office to submit your question, comment, or concern that you have with regards to all the things, and we'll make sure that we get them answered. With that, I've had you for 30 minutes, and I thank you for giving me them 30 minutes, yo. Grateful for the opportunity. And then I will see you all next Tuesday, and I will be in Richmond next Tuesday. So we will probably be either I'm going to do the live right before I leave for Richmond, or I will do it while I'm on the road. I definitely prefer to do it while I'm stationary, because I want to see I want to interact, right? Bookmark that resource. Yes, right. That's right. Miss Charlene, tell them. Bookmark that resource. And let me just shout out Miss Charlene too for always sending messages. I told you guys, if there's a community opportunity that you think I need to be sending my eyes on, please hit up the Dell jglass@house.virginia.gov so I can try to get things on my calendar. I can't always attend all the things, but it's good for me to know. And at least if it's something that is a community event, I can also try to say, hey, this is going on. And from there. Okay. Oh, Priscilla. Can I say this before I go? May I? May I? Okay, so Priscilla Artist, who just wrote gratitude for assisting my auntie, who's my neighbor. Miss Artist is my neighbor, and we're gonna leave on this, I promise, because I love Miss Artist. And I had been running for office for almost a year. Like, it's just a lot. We started last May and then didn't stop until January. It was just a wild, and I usually get somebody over there. We've got some little citizens in the neighborhood to cut the grass, and I have been a single point of failure, to be quite honest, on making sure that she gets taken care of. And I'm working on that to make sure there's other folks to take care of, the folks that I love and care about taking care of. But Miss Artist, we got her grass cut, because let me tell you what Priscilla did. She emailed my office. She emailed the Delegate Clown and said, hey, look, I think you used to help out with my aunt. Can you get somebody over there? And we went over there and got her grass cut. And if you know Miss Artist, who is amazing, I don't go over there without a ginger ale in my hand, because I know she love a ginger ale, and she got some sweet conversation. We've got to do the best job that we can with taking care of our neighbors. And speaking of our elders, I believe, if it hasn't already completed, I'll take a look just to make sure that we're still in the season of being able to make sure that they apply for their tax reduction program, their tax getting tax relief on their homes. That is a huge deal. The city of Norfolk has a tax relief program for folks over the age of 65 with an income of less than, I think, $73,000 in the household total. They can get up to 80% of their real estate taxes waived. And they have to go through that process every year, but I'll be darned, like, we'll go through it every year with them just to make sure that they get that relief. If you Google it, like, I know I don't want to keep y'all too much longer. So if you are 92 years young, like Miss Priscilla, and don't quote me, because I believe the deadline may be close to passing or may have already passed. I just am trying to make sure that we all know. But it's an important thing, and that's how we combat. The tides in the neighborhoods. It's how we combat the negative gentrification, meaning without indigenous residents. Yep, June, there we go. Thank you, June 1st. Yep, tax rate, super important. And we will be doing, Hope Harper, yes, running for Hope, congratulations. I love to hear people running for office. Like, do it. Yo, they need us to show up. Okay. Saturday, see you there. Tuesday in Richmond, Tuesday to Thursday. Please drop a line to the office, delljglass@house.virginia.gov. Thank you, Elena. She put the link in there for the real estate relief program. You are worth fighting for, right? Like, you are. And let's get our little citizens engaged. All right. So much love to you all. And I will catch you on Tuesday, unless you email me or call the office at 757-472-1293. I'm going to put that in there. In case you want to, that number, my chief of staff will pick up that line and get you covered. I'm making sure I put it in here because I want you to have it. 47. Oh, goodness. I'm trying to do this right, y'all. 472. 1293, which will be our new district. 93rd will be our, thank you so much, Vince, for putting that in there. Right there, that contact information is right there. And you can email Del, and since you're already doing it, Vince, I appreciate you, and Elena, delljglass@house.virginia.gov. I will pause for questions. Can you put the email in there as well? I'll pause in case there's any last questions or comments. Okay, so seeing none, I will remind you, this is Jackie Glass, Mama, Navy Vet Certified Doer, and your laced up legislator. I'm hoping that I will see you guys on the flip side. You make it a great day. Water. Oh, wait, let's take a deep breath. We got a lot going on today. Water yourself because you are a flower, and get some sun. All right, take care. Oh, Elena, it's at house.virginia.gov. At house.virginia.gov. Del J. Glass at house.virginia.gov. Hey, yo, we're doing judo. Make it a great day. I'm gonna edit that. I'm gonna make sure I edit that before. I don't want to, because I know people come back to this. I'm gonna reply to her, tweet hers, and y'all take care. Just updating this. There we go. All right. Be well.